What's up, family? We're going to talk about sports and how they are mentioned in the King James Bible. We're going to get right into it. God told the Israelites something in Leviticus 18 verse 3 that links up with other precepts in Proverbs, and we ultimately see why he told them these things in the Apocrypha, okay, in the book of Second Maccabees. But let's go into what he told them in Leviticus 18 verse 3. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. So God is telling his chosen people, y'all used to live in Egypt, but don't do the things the Egyptians do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. He telling them, I'm finna bring y'all to Canaan, but don't follow their laws and things like that either. Okay, neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. So the God of the Bible, I'm not gonna be country like I always do. The God of the Bible, he's the same in all scriptures. You just have to know the reason he's telling his chosen people what he's telling them. Okay, so we're gonna go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 31. And that says, envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. That's the same thing he told them in the book of Leviticus, chapter 18, verse 3. Okay, so we're going to get into the lesson about sports and how it affected the people of God. Okay, we're going to get into the book of Second Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 7 through verse 15. Okay, it says, but after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus, king called Epiphanes, took the kingdom, Jason, the brother of Onias, labored underhand to be high priest. So there's an Israelite that wanted to be high priest when a new so-called white man took over as king. Verse 8, promising unto the king by intercession 303 score talents of silver, and of another revenue 80 talents. So he's saying, like, he made a deal with the king, like, if you let me do this, I'll pay you X amount of money. Okay, verse 9, besides this, he promised to assign 150 more, if he might have license to set up a place for exercise, and for the training up of youth in the fashion of the heathen, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochans. So he made a horrible deal with the so-called white man. He want to change his people's nationality to Antiochans and not Israelites, because Israelites are the people of Jerusalem. Okay, he wanted to set up a place for exercise, which is a gym. Okay, gym means house of naked exercise, and we're gonna get the problem with that in a second. Okay, and he wants to also sell out his people, the young men, in the fashion of the heathen. Remember, I told you a couple of lessons back that heathen, stranger, alien, all of their biblical meaning are epithets that mean any race outside of the nation of Israel, any race outside of God's chosen people. Okay, if you're not a Israelite of the 12 tribes, you're a stranger, an alien, a heathen, a dog, and things of that nature. Epithets of the King James Bible. Okay, but your pastor won't tell you this. Okay, verse 10, which when the king had granted, and he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to Greek fashion. So the king, the so-called white man, gave this Israelite permission, and he quickly brought his own nation to Greekish fashion. Okay, verse 11, and the royal privileges granted of special favor to the Jews by the means of John, the father of Eupolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for amity and aid, he took away, and putting down the governments which were according to the law, he brought up new customs against the law. Okay. So the Jews initially had something going that was in their favor, but when this guy named Jason, the brother of Onias, came into power with this new deal that he made with Antiochus Epiphanes, he took away the things that were in the Jews' favor, and he brought up new customs against the law. Okay. Verse 12, for he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. So it could be like a football helmet of ancient times, something that symbolizes their transition from their nationality as Israelites to their new nationality of Antiochians and Greeks. Okay, like this is like being Hellenized. It's like being colonized. You don't get your own language. You don't get your own custom. You are now colonized up under your oppressor's language and customs. Okay, so that's what this is. But it's pertaining to sports. Okay, verse 13. Now such was the height of Greek fashions. So this is the top of what the heathen do. This is their custom. And increase of heathenish manners, through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch, and no high priest. So he not, doing what a high priest does. He's not doing the customs of the Most High God and taking sacrifices and forgiving the people. No, he's choosing the ways of the oppressor, which God through Solomon told the Israelites not to do. Okay. Verse 14. That the priests had no courage to serve any more at the altar, but despising the temple and neglecting the sacrifices, hastened to be partakers of the unlawful allowance in the place of exercise, after the game of discus called them forth. So this ungodly Jason, which is supposed to be a high priest, he's not doing things that Israelite priests do, and he's persuading the other priests to not do the things of God either. They have their own custom, their own role, their own job, their own tradition. They're not doing it. They're going to do what the heathen, what the stranger, what the alien, what the dogs are doing, playing sports. Okay, verse 15. Not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all. So what's the honors of their fathers? God's law. Okay, once you look at Samuel, he was a priest. That's one of their forefathers, one of their Levite fathers. To keep God's law is the honor. Who else? Any other priest that was doing their jobs, ministering at the temple and things of that nature. That's the honors of the forefathers. They were supposed to keep that going, keep that tradition alive. But they chose the heathens, the Grecians, the dogs, the strangers, the aliens. They chose that way of life over God's way of life. And God told them, don't do that in Leviticus 18 verse 3. And he told them, don't do that in Proverbs 3 verse 31. Okay. Verse 16. By reason whereof sore calamity came upon them. That's what that ass get. Sore calamity gonna come up on you. That means a hard destruction, because you put away the customs of the Most High God that he gave you, and you chose the custom of your oppressor. For they had them to be their enemies. For they had them to be their enemies and avengers, whose custom they followed so earnestly, and unto whom they desired to be like in all things. So no matter how hard you try to be like the other nations, you so-called blacks, Hispanic, and Native Americans, they always gonna turn on you and bite you in the ass. Okay? They gonna be your avengers. They gonna be your enemies. All right? And we gonna get that out of the book of 2 Maccabees chapter 6. We gonna stay in the same book, but we gonna move up a couple of chapters. So, yeah.